How do I set RC car suspension preload correctly? Imagine your RC car soaring over jumps and racing through rough terrain. The secret to smooth handling and durability often lies in how you set your suspension preload. Setting preload properly means adjusting the tension on your shock springs so your car maintains the right ride height. This is all about how high your chassis sits above the ground when the car is at rest. To do this, you need to compress the springs just enough so they are not fully extended but not overly squished. This initial tension is what we call preload. You can adjust preload by turning the threaded shock collars on the shock bodies, adding or removing preload spacers, or sliding the spring retainer if it's adjustable. Start with the spring lightly compressed, meaning the spring is just slightly pressed down when the shock is at rest. Use a ride height gauge or measure from the ground to the chassis to keep things consistent. Increasing preload by compressing the spring more will lift the chassis higher, giving you more ground clearance. This can be helpful on rough tracks or when you want to prevent bottoming out. But be careful, too much preload can reduce suspension travel and make your car feel stiff. Less preload lowers the ride height, which can improve handling on smooth surfaces but might cause bottoming out on jumps. Fine-tune your preload based on how your car performs. If it feels bouncy or unstable over bumps, try reducing preload. If it feels sluggish or bottoms out often, add a bit more preload. Remember, preload only affects ride height and suspension travel, not how the shocks dampen bumps. To adjust damping, change the shock oil weight or piston configuration. Proper preload setup protects your chassis and components by preventing excessive compression during jumps or rough driving. It also helps your car stay balanced and responsive. Always check your preload after any suspension work or changes to spring rates. Combining preload with the right spring stiffness, shock oil, and mounting positions will give your RC car the best performance. Keep in mind that small adjustments can make a big difference, so take your time and test after each change. Setting your suspension preload correctly is a simple step that can improve handling, protect your parts, and make your RC experience more fun.